So good morning, interweb world. Today is Wednesday, and today should have been just a normal midweek Wednesday. You know, you get to lunchtime and sort of think, oh, that's half the week gone, how did that happen? And then next thing you know, it's Friday afternoon and you're sort of thinking, oh, I really shouldn't be at work, it's Friday. So today's the day I get to do something I've wanted to do for years, in the sense that I have been driving past a yard down the road from me for 7 years, and in there is a really cool American RV. It's a Dodge Travco, if you know what one of those is, and it's a 270, so it's 27 foot long. It's just cool. It looks like a spaceship. It's 1968, right at the height of the space race, and it's just cool. Anyway, I've been trying to buy this thing for years. I've driven past it many times, taking the kids to school, and I've been in a situation where I've left notes at the vehicle. It's sort of behind a fence, and I've left notes in a letterbox. I've contacted the owner, I've tried to find his number, I've found the name of the business that used to lease the yard, and I really went to town on it, and eventually I've just given up. And every time I drive past it, I get sort of I get a bit sort of sick that it's just sat there. Anyway, I was looking at a post from a friend of mine, Ant, the guy I bought the Rolls Royce off, strangely enough, who put a post down that he buys a lot of stuff, to be fair, bless him. And he had put a post about this Travco. So I had a quick, oh my God, where, is it for sale? Where's it for sale? This, that, and the other. Actually drove up there, took some pictures, sent them to him, and left the notes in the gates and all this sort of thing. And he came back to me and said, well, it was on Facebook Marketplace at lunchtime, I bought it. I was, I don't know, it was a weird feeling, actually. I actually felt a bit sort of, I was a bit upset. I've been chasing this thing forever. Anyway, Ant's a really cool guy, and I did a bit of backwards and forwards with Ant, and he's got a lot of projects on, huge things. If you follow him on Instagram, Ant Barrett, he's got that huge McLaren 8 engine that he's putting in a chassis. He's got a Porsche 356. He's got loads of really he's got loads of really cool gear, and I did point out to him that the last thing he needs is a camper. Now, I would also stress that the last thing I need is a camper, but it's one of those things that as I head towards retirement, I'd like to be able to go out and spend some time with my lovely wife, and go out in a camper somewhere. I'm not the sort of person who enjoys going out in a modern jobby, because I'm just not. In fact, we've had use of one recently, and it's a fantastic piece of kit, don't get me wrong, but it's a little bit fragile and it's a little bit ordinary, and it's not really me. Anyway, so I've managed to do a deal with Ant, which I'm happy with. I'm going to say he's done very well out of it, but that's by the by. So I'm on my way up to have a look at this thing. Now, this is a bit scary because I've never actually seen this thing other than from behind a fence from 35 feet. So I've no idea really what I've now in essence bought. So this is the first time ever. It could be rat infested, it could be full of, I don't know, I have no idea. So this is a new, this is a bit of a blind purchase, which I don't like doing. However, I'm prepared for it to be awful, and I'm prepared to do the work. It's something I've wanted for years, so we're going to go and get that today. Today's video is about the stupid camper. God. Right. Well, that was interesting. I'm super excited. The interior, as you can see, is pretty much just gone, derelict, whatever. I think the original seats are there for the front, but the rest of it's gone. Panelling's gone, insulation's gone, everything's gone, which actually means that you got a fresh start. There's no point trying to, you know, restore some of it and play about with some of it. I can use some of the top cupboards as a template, but basically it's just a restoration, so that's fine. I'm quite happy with that. The idea was always to make a retro camper that looks like it's just come out of the space race into something that's modern, usable, can tow, etc. What we do with the engine and box, I'm not too sure, because they are the originals. You know, there's a 318 Mopar engine in there, there's a Mopar gearbox. You know, whether you changed it to something a bit more modern or something a bit more reliable or whatever, I don't know. I mean, in an ideal world, you want to put a modern V8 diesel in there with a lot of torque and a lot of everything else, wouldn't you? So, but that's a lot of work. And in the first place, we need to get the brakes running and all that sort of stuff. There's disc brakes at the front, which is quite interesting. That is quite good, I think. I didn't look at the back, but having disc brakes on the front is a result. So yeah, there we go, the camper. All I've got to do now is arrange for it to be picked up, which could be fun. So yeah, that's a phone call. We'll get on the case with that as soon as we can. That was close. So the Dodge is tucked into the workshop. It's going to live in this corner for a while. You can see my Corvette there. Anyway, let's get back to the camper. I found the trims for the front inside, which is a complete result. And then I'm just going to do some stuff. So inside's a mess. So I think the first thing to do is literally just to strip it. You've seen inside in the light, it's now a bit dark in here, so I'm just going to strip it out. The floors are a bit soft and so on and so forth. So basically the first job is to strip this back to, well, as far as it goes, I think. We'll just keep stripping and go from there. The roof's not very clever. It's come down in some places. The seating's here, but it's not very clever. And we've got God knows what's been living in the front corners. So we're going to strip all that out, all the wiring, etc. And we go from there. Couple of decisions to make is power plant, what we use to drive it. It's currently a 318 V8. It's in there. I don't think it's connected. It's sat on some bits of wood. Is there an option to change it to something like a Cummins or a Perkins or something? Bit of diesel, bit of grunt, bit of pull. I did think OM606 Mercedes, but I didn't know whether that would give me the torque. I'm not too sure. And then basically, if we do that, do we change it to right hand drive? It's fiberglass, so it's a fairly easy graft. It's might not be as easy right hand drive as you think, because sat here, although most of its driving will be in the UK, as you turn round, you have got a couple of windows there, but they're not as far down as they are on this side because of the door. So you've actually got a slightly better view from the left hand side than you have from the right, but you know, that's something we'll have a look at. We're a fair way away from that. Yeah, to say that this is a mess in here is an understatement. So one thing we'll do is get some lighting in here at some point. and strip it all out, including the wiring, I think, all the insulation, get rid of all that, end up with a blank canvas and see where we go from there. Onwards and upwards. So this is fun, this is horrible. So the car, I've sort of tried to clean some of the stuff out. I've put the seats to one side. I'm going to keep those, although I've taken the covers off. And I've started to strip out the interior, which is one of the most horrible jobs I think I've ever done in my life. Especially when you've got this horrible fiberglass stuff, which has been there since the 60s, so it's no doubt made of all sorts of horrible stuff. Anyway, it's all there, it's coming down. Found a wonderful tool in the skip to help me strip it off the walls, which is down here. So this thing is amazing. Get yourself one if you're stripping fiberglass. And basically the plan is to do exactly this. Strip the wood off the walls, expose the metal beams, which these are all steel, and they're all sort of integrated into the bodywork, if you're not aware. And then basically, once that's done, is to strip all the electrics out, strip all this horrible fiberglass out, expose all the steel, and then once I've done that, I'm going to take the floors out. I'm going to replace all the floors with marine ply, and I'm going to replace all the walls with ply. I'm going to put some new insulation in. I'm not too sure what insulation to use. Various recommendations. If you've got any, please shout. Anybody that's done a self build, because that's basically what this is. I've got a body, obviously, but the rest of it is start again from scratch, probably including the motor and box. I'm not too sure whether I'm going to keep this the same as layout as it was. I'd like to make this relatively modern, so it's able to be used by myself and my good lady wife. So we'll have modern cooking, we'll have modern microwaves and stuff, microwave and stuff. We'll have a shower, toilet, and we'll try and do it in such a way that it's comfortable and usable. Probably going to get rid of the original sort of insert that's here, or if not, at least add to it, make it bigger, if that makes sense. Get rid of the furnace thing for the toilet, change that to a proper cassette toilet, modernise it a bit, try and update it a bit, try and make it be a bit more of a modern sort of thing in terms of usability, and then keep it very retro in terms of its decoration and so on. Have to change it all to UK plugs and all that sort of stuff, because it's all on there's various American plugs around the place, so I'll be looking out for some external ones. It's quite interesting to be in here in the light, actually. The fiberglass itself doesn't look too bad inside, so there's no sort of water or anything. Doesn't look like there's any water been running in. Obviously I've lost this bit of wood here that runs across and around, so I'll have to remake that. But all that sort of stuff, that sort of thing's come on in leaps and bounds since this was made. Adhesives and all that sort of thing. So yeah, that's where we are with the Travco. Massive build. Not one that was in my original plans. I'd sort of written off ever getting this, which is a real shame, and I'm so glad I have it. But at the moment, it's just lots and lots of horrible, dirty work, and I will continue doing it until it's empty. Until later. Been in with the mask on and had a little bit of a clean up, taken a bit more out. All the steel seems okay. The wood is going to need to be replaced all round, I think, but that's fine. It's wood, we can do that. I've started taking the wiring out, so we're getting there gradually. It's going to take some time. We knew this. It's going to take a lot of time, but the more we do in a short period of time, the better. We've got a bit of obviously a bit of corrosion here that's going to need sorting out, but we can do that. We have the means. The wood is pretty rotten. I'm guessing water's come in here and dropped through there, which is why it's rotted out the wood and probably the floor. So it's always an explanation for these things. I'm guessing that's where a fridge or something lived. So maybe we reincorporate that into a fridge again or not, we'll see. Either way, if there's water gets in there, it's got to be able to be drained out, so that's something to bear in mind. Wheel arches are here, big black box at the back, I'm not too sure what that is. We'll have a look at that, because that's obviously something that's got to go. And yeah, the further we go back, the closer we get to bed, which is the aim is just to clear it completely, and then we can treat the metal and go from there. Well, another week begins. It's Monday. It's beautifully sunny. Bit of a motivation after yesterday's Bicester Scramble, Bicester Motion, whatever it's called now. Bicester Sunday, 3 times a year. It's cool. Or rather 2 times. Yeah, it is 3 times a year now, isn't it? Because they don't do the summer one. It was cool. Had some good times. Caught up with a load of people. Saw a load of really cool cars. Lots of vintage stuff, lots of retro stuff, classics. Normal scramble stuff. If you've not been, go. If you do go, book your ticket after me, because I always forget. Anyway, so this week is going to see some more work on the Dodge. So the Dodge is there. Well, that's quite difficult. The Dodge is there. Where is it? There it is. So there's the Dodge. That's actually really difficult to do. Don't try and do that, kids. Really difficult. So we're going to try and get some more stuff out of the Dodge. I really want to get that cleaned up inside, get all the rubbish out of it, take all that to the tip, and then basically, once I've done that, I can start reimbursing stuff inside, cleaning it up, etc. As I will refer to many, many times in these videos, I have the most understanding wife in the world, as you can probably appreciate from all the nonsense that's floating around in here. The bottom line is that the camper will be for me and Sam, and it will be for us to go out in. But if she sees it full of mice and spiders and dirt and rust and rotten wood, she won't go near the thing. So I've got to get it to a certain point before I can show her and say, look at this. A little bit more coming out of here. This is just the most horrible job. Every time you touch it, fiberglass gets in the air, and even with a mask on, it's still pretty horrible. So anyway, it is what it is. There's some bits in here that's going to need some repairs, but there's also a lot of really sturdy steel. Somebody's obviously had a go over this side because the insulation is different, but yeah, it's gradually coming apart, and where it needs repairs, once it's clean, we will know. So insulation in the bags, get rid of that. Bottom of this piece here out, last piece in the roof out, I think, and yeah, nice piece of brass there, keep that. So yeah, get this last piece out, and then once we've done that, it is onwards to the back, and the back consists of ultimately what would have been the toilet and the shower, which is there, which is definitely coming out, and then the bed as such, which again is definitely coming out. I'm not sure we're going to keep the setup the same, as I've probably already said. This box, whatever this is, I think this is the generator housing, that will come out. Yeah, we just go from there really. It's a mess, it's a very big mess, but we'll get there. Yeah. Back in the Dodge of Doom. So, I keep saying so. As you will see, nearly all the wood is out of certainly the front end, and I've started just having a clean around some of the fiberglass just to get it clean, and I've also tried to clean the floor, so I can see where the holes are on there, and there's a couple at the back. We've got a fair bit of rotten wood in here, which will all be replaced, and the side has actually ballooned out slightly on this side. It's only very slight where it's bellowed out on the sides here. It actually had sealant down it. I don't think that's going to be a big ass to get that back in line, so that's good. As you can see, all the wood's got to be replaced around the windows, and the sealant's got to be replaced. I've also got out the, what is in essence the shower, which is just one big shower cubicle. which will, I think, be replaced. But at this point, I'm going to keep it as it is because I do not want to destroy it and then think to myself, oh Christ, I should have kept that. This is where the bathroom sort of system was. Down at the back here is loads of drainage. There's drainage here for all the toilet and extraction for stuff. There's also extraction for through the roof for so almost like a soil pipe extraction almost. You know, you just don't need that these days. We'll use a modern cassette toilet. All the pipe work is copper, so all that's coming out because we don't need copper. This floor underneath the sink and stuff, what was here, that's really rotten. So, you know, I'm going to change the whole floor. There's no two ways about it. It just needs the whole floor replacing. You can't really see it, but there's a massive tank underneath the back here. You know, this was used for roaming all over the place. You know, we'll never need a tank that big for a weekend or a week away. Most places these days have, you know, all the equipment that we might require. So I just can't see that we'll need those. Again, we've talked about this wooden box, which I think is the I think that's where the generator would have lived. That will go. So next things next are last bits of these here, the bottoms out of here, the last bit of this roof including the bird's nest, and then this section here. I'm then going to try and salvage these sides because they are bespoke to the back of the camper, and also the back end looks very bespoke, so I'm going to keep as much of that as I can and reuse it and rebuild it. The bed will all come out because I'm not going to have the bed as it is. I'm certainly not going to have this divider here because it just makes no sense at all. And then once we've got all that, it can be thoroughly cleaned and we can go from there. So there's just the last bits. I've taken loads of the wiring out as well. So you can see the last bits of the wiring have got to come out of the back and so on. So looking vastly different to what it did only a week or so ago. And I'm just glad to be moving on with it and hopefully get it to the point where you can walk in here without a mask on and not be choking with your breath in 10 minutes because it's like that now. I've been in here for 2 minutes and it's pretty horrible. So just looking forward to getting all the fiberglass out and going from there. I'm not worried about the front at the moment. This is just going to be a storage area. You know, the engine will go, the gearbox will go, and we'll go with something much more usable. And I'm tempted to have a look about turning it to right-hand drive, if that's possible. You know, the wiring is, you know, it's just a sea of cables that probably aren't connected to anything in particular. So all that's going to come out and we'll put a bespoke wiring loom in there. Anyway, most of the time I'm working inside on the old Dodge, but today, just in between a couple of jobs, I'm just going to get rid of a couple of these metal things. This one's already missing. I think I've got that somewhere actually, but this one's been added, and this is for a furnace, I think, something to do with the old toilet, which obviously won't be reused. So I'm just going to get these out. This side is a little bit bowed and it's going to need some attention, but yeah, just trying to get these out, get them out of the way, and we can carry on with the repairs then. That was quite a nice job. That didn't take long. As you can see, this is obviously added. There's no way that's original. So that can go. And these two down here now both opened up. This is, as I say, I think this is original. It's, you know, where the furnace was, I think, for the toilet. But all the wood around it's very rotten. So one of the things we're gonna have to do is replace all that. Obviously there's a crack here in the fiberglass and stuff. So this side's gonna need a bit of repair. You probably can't see it, but it does bow out slightly along here. So we'll get to the stage where that's got to be rectified. fairly soon actually, because obviously we've got to put insulation in and it's all got to be attached beforehand. So biggest thing with this Travco is that trying to get everything done in the right order, because you want it done in an order where it all works. And although the exterior isn't really top of my list, because it's all fiberglass, so it's just repairs, you know, things like that, where we've got bowing in, where we've got to pull it in from inside, and then fiberglass it in place again before the insulation goes in and the wiring, then that becomes quite a job. Another little side issue with the Dodge is that the front end's had a few moody repairs. It's got a very rotten piece of wood across the top here that needs taking out, and there's some bits on the cross member that are going to need doing. So I've started to take the fan out, and I'll also take the radiator out, and I'm going to remove the engine as well. So the engine and box, well, the box is already out, but the engine can come out, and all the wiring and stuff that's sort of a nest of whatever in there, and then we can begin to look at what we've got and move onwards from there, I think is the case. I'll obviously clean the chassis up. I'm going to clean up a lot of this. I really want to keep this thing. This is going to be something that we hope to keep for a long time, and as a result, it's got to be right. So the plot thickens at the back. We have got the wall out, got most of the bed out. I'm going to lose the light a second, there we go. This is a big hole that goes all the way to the floor, through the floor even, to a tank, which I presume is a wastewater. That's clean water, I'm presuming, and there's a dead bird down there as well, which I don't like. Don't know how long that's been there, but I'm guessing that might be the one that lived in there. What do you want to see? In there. So next thing is really I want to try and save as much of this as possible, because this is sort of molded to the original. So this is going to be a bit more careful to take out, so that we can keep the original moldings and then go from there. Get these side bits out, but yeah, it's gradually moving forwards. You know, there's a lot of destruction to happen in here before we get anywhere forwards. And the annoying thing is I've got to do quite a few stupid little repairs before I can do much more going forwards as well. So that little hole down there has got to be sorted, and those big holes in the side that we've seen have got to be sorted, and I think that's got to be sorted. And then at the front, the window surrounds have got to be sorted, so you can probably see that one. I appreciate the lighting in here is terrible, and I will have to solve that, but all around the windows, the window surrounds are pretty bad, so I'm going to have to sort those out. So I've got some decent marine ply, so I think I can probably do that with ply and redo that. Same goes on this side. I can get some lighting over here, so you can see here. Get stuck. Yeah, so if you look from here, the same goes here. The actual surround has come away. It sort of lives on there. So I think it's a relatively easy repair, because all I'm going to have to do really is to remake the surround bits, put them back into place as they were, and then go from there. I'm going to remove stupid things like this just to make sure this isn't just got a stupid things like this, just to make sure it hasn't just got a load of filler behind it and stuff. And then I've got to put the wiring in, which is something I'm not looking forward to at all, just because it's not my sort of thing. I don't like wiring. I'm not particularly proficient at it. As anybody that knows me and has followed me in on a wiring job, they know that I'm not. But I'm going to have to get the first fit of wiring in before I do any insulation, which is just a little bit annoying really, but there we go. So I've got to work out everything. I've got to work out what I'm doing with engine and gearbox and everything else, which I've got a plan for, but we'll keep that to ourselves at the moment until it actually happens. Floor's got to come out so we can do any repairs. So where the floor's got wet, as you can see down there, we've got holes. We've got one over here which has fairly obviously been cut out, and then obviously there's the one at the back where the shower was, which is awful. So yeah, I'm trying to keep as many of these little fittings, what I would think are the original fittings, in terms of light switches and stuff, the aluminium and the lights, which I've got 3 or 4 of, just so that I can reuse those. Things like the speaker mount there and the light on the roof, all that sort of stuff I'm going to try and keep because it's obviously period correct. So one of the things with these videos, particularly in the Travco, is the lighting's terrible. I know it's dark in here, I know the lighting's bad, and it doesn't help having one big light in here. As you will see from my other videos, I'm trying to have a bit of a sort out. I'm trying to get to the point where we've got some decent recording area for the other builds. The Travco is going to be a little bit difficult because it's just sat here. It's in the back end of the workshop, really. It's not the most light part of the workshop by any stretch. And then, of course, it's dark in here. I can get a few lights in, but and I will endeavour to do that so you can see a little bit better. You know, I'd like to try and get these videos as good a quality as possible because I just would. But I'm not going to be spending huge amount, you know, I'm not spending huge amounts of time. I'm not able to spend a day at a time working on this. This is odds and sods, bits and bobs, as and when I can. And sometimes it's just a case of as and when you get the, you know, inclination to do so. I think that's probably the same with most people. I do appreciate people are going to be stood there, sitting down, whatever, screaming at the screen saying you shouldn't do it this way, you shouldn't do it this way, you shouldn't do it this way. I understand that. Welcome, you know, any sort of constructive criticism. You know, anybody's got any better ideas, so on and so forth, you know, please scream out at me. My idea with this is, I'm going to say pretty simple, is to get it off, and then when it's off is just to almost sort of sand it down. I think that's got to be the way forward, isn't it? And then once it's sanded down flat, we can then reinstate the wood with new bits of wood. Windows, I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with the windows at this moment in time. A couple of them do need repairing and do need replacing in terms of the glass. I do have a friend who's very good with flat glass, so I'll probably get him to do it for me. And go from there. The windows will all be kept originals. There's a bit of provenance with this vehicle, which I'll share with you at some point. And I'd like to keep it that way. So I want to keep the original, how it looks on the outside, as original as possible. Maybe with a few changes to actual sort of grills and stuff and so on. I mean, there's no point in having grills in the side for what would have been a fridge freezer, whatever it is, when mine might not be in the same place. I want this to be a very usable camper for 2, maybe 4 people, but really based around 2. You know, this is not supposed to be an instructional thing. This is not supposed to be this is how to do it. I am completely self-taught in everything I do. I've never done anything like this in terms of the camper van, both in terms of size and in terms of structure. It's a really unusual structure, as some of you will know. You know, the metal frame is just that there, and then there's just a fiberglass body thrown over the top of it. It's so simple, which is really good. I've got some exciting plans for running gear, nothing too drastic, but something that will at least make it modern. So there's lots of things going to happen with this as we move along, and hopefully it will all fall together. But yeah, these are the boring sort of jobs that just, you know, somebody's got to do, and I thought I might as well film them while I start. One of the things with doing this, because I have so many cars, well, so many, reasonable number, is that actually some of them are already started. So the 912 is already started. I've not done much on it, but there's stuff that's been done. The 32, I've done all the chassis. So there's stuff that's got to start from scratch. And there's other stuff that's already sort of part done. So it's trying to pick stuff up and explain stuff up as we go, which hopefully makes sense. So there we have it. The dodgy Dodge is in the building, taking up a lot of space, it has to be said. As I've already commented, I really wasn't looking for another car or vehicle, and it's only the fact I've been chasing this one for years, and it happened to come along, you know, that fortuitous buy that I talk about. Lots to be done on this. If you've been intrigued, if you've enjoyed it, give us a like and subscribe, and follow the journey.